the silent memory killer most seniors ignore. Fix this to stay sharp after 75. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you've struggled to recall a neighbor's name, even though you've known them for years? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most of us chalk it up to just getting older. But what if I told you there's a hidden culprit behind those lapses? One that's quietly chipping away at your memory, and most folks over 75 never even see it coming. Today, we're going to talk about something I call the silent memory killer. It's not a disease. It's not genetics. And it's definitely not an inevitable part of aging. But here's the thing. If you ignore it, it can steal the clarity and sharpness you deserve to enjoy in your golden years. The good news? Once you know what it is, fixing it is simpler than you might think. Now, before we dive in, let me reassure you, this isn't about scary medical jargon or drastic lifestyle changes. It's about small, everyday habits that add up to a big difference. Over the next little while, I'll share practical steps you can take to protect your memory, stay mentally agile, and keep that brilliant mind of yours thriving. Let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, something so basic, we often overlook it entirely. Picture this. It's a crisp autumn morning, and Margaret, a lively 78-year-old from Ohio, is sitting at her kitchen table with a crossword puzzle. She's always prided herself on her sharp mind, but lately, she's noticed her thoughts feel foggier. Words take longer to find. Names slip away. She brushes it off. Just old age, she tells her daughter, but deep down it worries her. What Margaret doesn't realize is that her weekly routine, quiet mornings alone, evenings watching TV, and turning down invitations to her grandson's soccer games, is quietly starving her brain of the very thing it needs to stay sharp. You see, the silent memory killer isn't some mysterious force. It's isolation. And I don't just mean living alone or having fewer friends. It's that slow drift away from meaningful connection, the kind that lights up your brain, challenges your thoughts, and keeps you feeling alive. Research shows that chronic loneliness doesn't just make us feel sad. It physically changes our brains, shrinking areas responsible for memory and decision-making. But here's the kicker. Fixing it doesn't require a packed social calendar or exhausting outings. It starts with tiny, intentional moments of connection. Take Margaret, for example. One day, her neighbor knocked on her door and invited her to join a weekly gardening club. At first, she hesitated. "I'm not much of a green thumb," she said. But after a few meetings, something shifted. Laughing over wilted tomato plants, sharing stories about her mother's rose bushes, even bickering playfully about the best fertilizer. Those moments did more than fill her calendar. They woke up parts of her brain that had been gathering dust. Within months, she noticed her crossword times improving, and she even remembered her neighbor's grandkids' names without stumbling. Now, maybe gardening isn't your thing, and that's okay. The key isn't the activity itself, it's the connection. Even something as simple as a 10-minute phone call with an old friend, a weekly coffee date with a neighbor, or joining a virtual book club can work wonders. Your brain craves novelty and interaction, like a plant craves sunlight. So, if you've been spending too much time in the shadows, start small. Text a relative you haven't spoken to in a while. Strike up a conversation with a cashier at the grocery store. Or hey, leave a comment below and tell me about a hobby you've always wanted to try. I read every single one. But connection is only half the battle. Let's talk about the second habit. One that's equally powerful but often dismissed as just for kids. Have you ever noticed how children ask why? About everything? That relentless curiosity isn't just adorable. It's how their brains build new pathways. And guess what? Your brain can do the same thing at any age. The problem is, many of us fall into routines so predictable, our minds stop stretching. We watch the same shows, eat the same meals, and take the same walks. And without realizing it, we let our mental muscles go soft. Here's the secret. Your brain doesn't care if you're 25 or 75. It thrives on challenge. Not stress, not frustration, but gentle, playful stimulation. Think of it like a daily vitamin for your mind. For instance, Harold, an 81-year-old retired mechanic from Florida, told me he started taking a beginner's painting class on a whim. I haven't held a brush since grade school, he laughed. At first, his landscapes looked more like abstract blobs, but within weeks, he noticed something surprising. His concentration improved. He slept better, and that nagging forgetfulness he'd been feeling, it began to fade. You don't need to become Picasso, of course. The goal is to find something that makes your brain work a little. Try a new recipe without following the instructions to the letter. Take a different route to the pharmacy. Swap out your usual Sudoku for a jigsaw puzzle. Or better yet, learn a few phrases in a new language. The key is to step outside your comfort zone, even just a toe at a time. When you do, you're not just passing the hours, you're building a fortress against that silent memory killer. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But what if I've never been the social type? Or, I'm too set in my ways to try new things. Let me stop you right there. This isn't about overhauling who you are. It's about sprinkling little moments of newness into the life you already love. You don't have to host dinner parties or take up skydiving. Start with what feels manageable. If crowded groups aren't your style, invite one friend over for tea. If painting feels intimidating, try coloring in an adult coloring book while listening to music from your youth. The point is to engage, to remind your brain that it's still very much in the game. And here's the best part. These habits don't just protect your memory. They breathe joy into your days. Margaret didn't just regain her mental clarity. She discovered a passion for growing heirloom tomatoes. Harold's paintings now hang in his granddaughter's nursery. The things we do to stay sharp often end up becoming the things that make life richer, funnier, and more meaningful. But we're just scratching the surface. Because while connection and curiosity are vital, there's another piece to this puzzle. One that's happening right under your nose, every single night. And once you understand it, you'll wonder how you ever ignored it. You know that feeling when you wake up after a restless night. Your head feels heavy. Your thoughts move like molasses, and even making a cup of coffee seems like a chore. Now, imagine that foggy, sluggish sensation lingering day after day. That's exactly what happened to Frank, a 76-year-old retired teacher from Texas. He'd always been a light sleeper, but after his wife passed away, his nights became a cycle of tossing, turning, and staring at the ceiling. I figured I'd just get used to it, he told me. But instead, he started forgetting appointments, misplacing his keys, and losing track of conversations. What Frank didn't realize was that those fractured nights weren't just leaving him tired. They were eroding his memory, one sleepless hour at a time. Here's the truth most of us never hear. Sleep isn't just about rest. It's your brain's maintenance crew. While you're drifting through dreams, your brain is busy sorting the day's memories, filing away what's important, and flushing out toxins that can lead to cognitive decline. In fact, studies show that poor sleep is linked to a 40% higher risk of memory issues in older adults. But here's the good news. Improving your sleep doesn't require miracle cures or expensive gadgets. It's about working with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. Let's take Frank's story. His doctor suggested a few simple tweaks: dimming the lights an hour before bed, swapping his evening news, which often left him anxious, for a calming audiobook, and cutting off caffeine after lunch. Within a month, he was sleeping through the night, and the difference stunned him. It was like someone wiped the fog off my windshield, he said. Suddenly, he could recall his students' names from decades past and even started writing short stories again. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a sleep perfectionist. If you've spent years watching late-night TV or sipping bedtime tea, which, fun fact, can actually disrupt your sleep if it's caffeinated, small changes can still make a big impact. Try setting a consistent bedtime. Even on weekends, your brain loves routine. Keep your bedroom cool and dark. Even a sliver of light from a hallway can interfere with deep sleep. And if you're someone who wakes up at 3 a.m. with your mind racing, keep a notepad by your bed. Jot down those swirling thoughts and tell yourself, I'll handle this tomorrow. It's like giving your brain permission to clock out for the night. But here's something folks rarely talk about. Sleep isn't just about what happens at night. What you do during the day, how you move your body, plays a huge role in how well you rest and how sharp your mind stays. Think of it like a dance. Sleep rejuvenates your brain, and movement primes it for the rejuvenation. Take Irene, an 82-year-old former nurse from Oregon. After a knee replacement, she became cautious about exercise. I didn't want to risk a fall, she explained. But as her activity dwindled, so did her sleep quality and her memory. Her turning point came when her grandson signed her up for a seated Tai Chi class at the local community center. I thought, this'll be boring, she admitted. But the slow, deliberate movements not only strengthened her legs, they became her secret weapon against brain fog. After class, I feel like my thoughts are lighter, she said, like I've shaken off the dust. Science backs this up. Physical activity, whether it's walking, gardening, or even folding laundry, increases blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that keep your neurons firing strong. You don't need to run marathons or lift weights. The goal is to move in ways that feel good. If balance is a concern, try chair exercises or water aerobics. If you love nature, recruit a friend for daily walk and talk sessions around the park. Even something as simple as standing up every 30 minutes to stretch or march in place can wake up your brain. The magic happens when sleep and movement work together. Irene noticed that on days she attended Tai Chi, she fell asleep faster and woke up feeling clearer. It's like my body wants to sleep when I've given it a gentle nudge during the day, she said. And Frank, once his sleep improved, he felt energized enough to take short walks after dinner, which, in turn, helped him sleep even deeper. It's a beautiful cycle. Move a little, sleep better, think sharper. Now, maybe you're thinking, but what if my body hurts? Or, I've never been the athletic type. Let me reassure you, this isn't about pushing through pain or comparing yourself to anyone else. It's about finding joy in motion. One viewer, 79-year-old Marvin, told me he exercises by dancing to old Motown hits while cooking breakfast. My hips don't lie, he joked. Another, 84-year-old Eleanor, does leg lifts while watching her favorite detective shows. I call it my mystery and muscles hour, she laughed. The key is to start where you are. If standing for long periods is tough, try arm circles or seated toe taps. If you're already active, add a new challenge, like balancing on one foot while brushing your teeth. Hold the counter for safety. Every time you move, you're sending your brain a message. We're still in this. We're still growing. And don't underestimate the power of play. Remember how carefree you felt as a kid, climbing trees or playing tag. That spirit counts. Fly a kite at the park. Toss a ball with your granddog. Or join a laughter yoga class. Yes, that's a real thing. When movement feels like fun, you're more likely to stick with it. And the longer you stick with it, the more your memory will thank you. Of course, sleep and movement are just two pieces of this puzzle. Because while they set the stage for a sharp mind, there's another daily habit that directly fuels or sabotages your brain's performance. And chances are, you're holding it in your hand right now. Let me ask you something. What's in your hand right now? A cup of coffee? A remote control? Or maybe a snack you grabbed without thinking twice? Whatever it is, here's a startling truth. Every bite, every sip, every meal is either fighting that silent memory killer or quietly feeding it. And I'm not talking about fad diets or choking down kale like it's medicine. This is about the simple, everyday choices that either nourish your brain or leave it running on fumes. Take Dorothy, an 80-year-old retired librarian from Minnesota. She'd always been a meat and potatoes person, quick meals, plenty of comfort food, and a well-stocked cookie jar. But over time, she began feeling sluggish. Words slipped her mind mid-sentence, and she'd stare into her pantry, overwhelmed by the simplest decisions. Her doctor ran tests, but found nothing wrong. It wasn't until her granddaughter, a nutrition student, spent a week with her that Dorothy realized the problem. Her brain wasn't getting the fuel it needed. I thought eating less was just part of aging, Dorothy said. Turns out I was eating wrong. Here's the thing. Your brain is a high-performance engine, and it needs premium fuel. After 75, your body becomes less efficient at absorbing key nutrients, like B vitamins, omega-3s, and antioxidants. And if you're skimping on those, it's like trying to drive a classic car on watered-down gas. You might sputter along for a while, but eventually, things start to stall. But here's the good news. Fixing this isn't about overhauling your diet overnight. It's about strategic upgrades. Dorothy started small, adding a handful of blueberries to her morning oatmeal, swapping her afternoon candy bar for a mix of nuts and dark chocolate, and tossing spinach into her scrambled eggs. I didn't feel healthier right away, she admitted. But after a few weeks, I noticed I wasn't staring at crossword clues like they were written in Greek. Let's break this down. Your brain craves two things above all: hydration and color. First, water. Dehydration is a sneaky saboteur. It can mimic dementia symptoms, causing confusion and forgetfulness. Aim for fluids throughout the day, even if you don't feel thirsty. Keep a colorful pitcher of water with lemon slices or cucumber on the counter as a friendly reminder. And if you're a tea or coffee lover, enjoy it. Just balance it with plain water too. Now about color. Those vibrant shades in fruits and veggies, deep greens, bright oranges, rich purples, are nature's brain protectors. They're packed with antioxidants that fight inflammation, a silent enemy linked to memory decline. Don't worry, you don't need exotic superfoods. Frozen berries stirred into yogurt, roasted sweet potatoes with dinner, or a handful of baby carrots with hummus all count. The goal is to eat the rainbow, as Dorothy's granddaughter taught her. My plate looks happier now, Dorothy joked, and so does my brain. But here's a pitfall many folks stumble into: routine. We find a few foods we like, maybe toast with jam, a familiar casserole, or a daily bowl of ice cream, and stick with them. Comforting? Absolutely. But when your meals become predictable, your brain does too. Variety isn't just the spice of life. It's the spark your neurons need to stay agile. Sam, an 83-year-old retired fisherman from Maine, learned this the hard way. After his wife passed, he ate the same tuna sandwich for lunch every day for years. Easy, he shrugged. But when his daughter visited and insisted on taking him to a Brazilian steakhouse, something shifted. I tried this pineapple glaze thing, he recalled. Sounds fancy, but honestly, it woke me up. The new flavors, textures, and even the noise of the restaurant stirred something in him. I felt alive again, like my brain was finally paying attention. You don't need to book a table at a trendy bistro, though. Shake up your taste buds with small adventures. Try a spice you've never used: turmeric, cinnamon, or smoked paprika. Visit an international grocery aisle and grab a snack with packaging you can't read. Or swap one usual side dish for something seasonal. Every new flavor fires up different parts of your brain, building resilience against that silent memory killer. And let's not forget the power of shared meals. Sam's steakhouse trip led to a weekly mystery dinner tradition with his daughter. Sometimes they cook together, sometimes order takeout from a new cuisine. Half the time, I don't even like what I try, Sam laughed. But arguing about whether kimchi is funky or fabulous? That's the real brain food. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but cooking's a chore. Or, what if my appetite's not what it used to be? Fair points. As we age, taste buds fade, energy wanes, and chewing can become a hassle. That's why it's crucial to adapt, not abandon. Consider Helen, a 79-year-old from Arizona with dentures. She'd given up crunchy veggies and chewy meats, relying on soft, processed foods instead. Her solution? Smoothies packed with spinach, avocado, and frozen mango. Easy to sip, easy to customize. I call it my brain milkshake, she grinned. 4 days when even blending feels like too much. She keeps pre-cut veggies and hummus in clear containers front and center. Out of sight, out of mind, literally. If cooking feels overwhelming, simplify. Use pre-chopped veggies, no shame in that. Batch cook soups or stews and freeze portions. Or turn mealtime into a social event. Host a potluck lunch where everyone brings a dish and you provide the paper plates. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And let's tackle the elephant in the room: sugar. Now, I'm not saying you can't enjoy dessert, but that mid-afternoon candy bar or sugary soda, it's like pouring sludge into your brain's gas tank. Spikes in blood sugar can damage blood vessels over time, including those feeding your brain. Try swapping soda for sparkling water with a splash of juice, or satisfy a sweet tooth with naturally sweet options like roasted apples with cinnamon or a square of dark chocolate. Here's the bottom line: Food isn't just calories. It's information. Every bite sends messages to your cells, messages that can either protect your memory or put it at risk. Dorothy, Sam, and Helen aren't diet gurus. They're regular folks who made small, joyful tweaks to outsmart the silent memory killer. You can too. Start today. Next time you're at the store, grab one fruit or veggie you've never tried. Swap one sugary snack for a handful of nuts. Or share a recipe in the comments below. I'd love to hear your favorites. Because here's what I've learned from thousands of conversations with folks like you. The habits that keep your brain sharp are the same ones that make life taste better, richer, more vibrant. And isn't that what we all want? But we're not done yet. Because there's one last piece to this puzzle. A simple daily practice that costs nothing, takes minutes, and has the power to transform not just your memory, but your entire outlook on life. And trust me, it's not what you'd expect. Let me tell you about Rose. At 77, she was the kind of woman who'd organized every photo album in her house twice. She gardened, she volunteered, she even took up knitting to keep these old hands busy. But despite her full schedule, she couldn't shake a nagging feeling of rush. Her mind raced with to-do lists, worries about her grandkids' futures, and frustration over little things, misplaced reading glasses, a noisy neighbor, rain ruining her hydrangeas. "I'm just stressed," she'd say. But what Rose didn't realize was that stress, the kind we dismiss as normal, was the final thread weaving through every memory-stealing habit we've talked about. Here's the kicker. Stress isn't just a feeling. It's a physical storm in your body. When you're stressed, your brain gets flooded with cortisol, a hormone that, in small doses, helps you react to danger. But when cortisol sticks around too long, it's like acid on your neurons. It shrinks the hippocampus, the brain's memory hub, and makes it harder to focus, learn, or even recall where you left your keys. And here's the cruel twist. The more stressed you are, the more forgetful you become, which stresses you out even more. But here's the secret Rose discovered. You don't have to eliminate stress to defang it. You just need to interrupt it. And the tool to do that is simpler than you'd ever guess. Breathing. Not the shallow, automatic breaths we take all day, but slow, deliberate breaths that signal to your body, we're safe, we're calm. Rose stumbled onto this by accident. One rainy afternoon, her knitting group canceled, and she found herself alone with her thoughts. Out of sheer boredom, she opened a yoga app her daughter had downloaded for her. 10 minutes of breathing exercises, the instructor promised. That's all. Skeptical, Rose tried it, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 6. By the third round, tears streamed down her face. "I didn't even realize how tense I'd been," she told me. "It was like unclenching a fist I'd been holding for years." The science here is profound. Deep breathing activates your vagus nerve, a calm-down switch wired into your nervous system. It lowers cortisol, slows your heart rate, and literally shifts your brain waves into a state where learning and memory thrive. And the best part, you can do it anywhere. Waiting in a doctor's office, sitting in traffic, even during commercials. Rose started with just 2 minutes a day. She'd set a timer, close her eyes, and breathe. Inhale, hold, exhale. Some days, her mind still wandered to grocery lists or unpaid bills. But slowly, something changed. She noticed her reaction softened. The neighbor's barking dog became background noise. Forgotten names came easier. "It's like my brain finally has space to think," she said. "Now, let's tie this all together." Over these 4 parts, we've uncovered the silent memory killer's accomplices: isolation, routine, poor sleep, stagnation, thoughtless eating, and chronic stress. But we've also armed you with tools to fight back. Connection, lighting up your brain through meaningful moments. Curiosity, stretching your mind with playful challenges. Rest and movement, sinking sleep and gentle activity to recharge. Nourishment, fueling your brain with color, variety, and joy. Calm, quieting the storm with the power of your own breath. These aren't chores. They're choices, small, daily acts of rebellion against the idea that fading sharpness is inevitable. You don't need to tackle them all at once. Pick one. Just one. Text a friend you miss. Swap tonight's TV rerun for a documentary on a topic you know nothing about. Add a handful of walnuts to your salad. Breathe deeply while your coffee brews. Because here's what I want you to remember. Aging isn't the enemy. Neglect is. Your brain is a lifelong learner, a storyteller, a vault of precious memories. It's never too late to show it a little love. Before I let you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's one tiny change you'll try this week? A new recipe? A morning stretch routine? Or maybe you've already found a trick that keeps your mind sharp. Share it below. Your story could inspire someone else to take that first step. If this resonated with you, hit the like button. It helps others find this video. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. We're all about practical, uplifting tips to help you thrive in your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, every day is a fresh page. Write it boldly, laugh often, and keep that brilliant mind of yours curious. After all, the best chapters are still ahead. Here's to living sharp and savoring every moment.